So, is reducing taxes across the board a good program, or do selected tax breaks make better sense to cause economic growth? The answers will surprise you, and they're coming up on today's Economists Militia.
The idea that tax rates should be different for different levels of earning is classic Keynesian economics. We've talked about the work of John Maynard Keynes before, where we contrasted his work to that of Art Laffer and Robert Mundell. Most politicians love Keynesian concepts because they promote lower taxes on the largest voting bloc, those who don't make a whole lot of money. As an aside, I leave it to you to figure out what defines a whole lot of money. Anyway, back to the topic. Even more than helping politicians woo voters, Keynesian economics makes the claim that giving those voters a tax break will help spur the economy. The idea is that the rich save their money, which doesn't help the economy, and that the poor spend their money, which does help the economy. So it makes people happy and it helps the economy, and it does it all without a beer summit. We've talked about the flaws in Keynesian logic before, but let's do a quick review. The first flaw is that savings don't help the economy. The reality is that savings are what spur investment, since savings are used by banks to fund loans. This flaw is compounded by the government's borrowing to fund the tax break, since that borrowing draws even more money out of the economy. Essentially, they take money from us to pay us, and since the us changes, it's just another redistribution. Keynes asserts that redistribution is a good thing, which at least is a consistent policy. George Bush called himself a conservative, but put out 2 different tax rebates and blew the budget up like a frat house balloon girlfriend, and frankly, he treated the economy like a balloon girlfriend as well. What about the percentage of the population who pay no federal taxes? According to the nonpartisan Nonprofit Tax Foundation, in 2006, about 41% of the adult population either pay no federal income tax or negative federal income tax. That number is expected to rise to more than 47% in 2009, according to the Tax Policy Center, another nonpartisan research shop. In both cases, negative federal income tax is a polite way of saying they effectively get welfare. So the progressive tax rate is made even more lopsided by a series of incentives and rebates, the result of which is that 5 in 10 people pay no income tax to the federal government, and another 2 in 10 pay less than $1,000 each per year. When we propose an across-the-board tax cut, is that a good thing then? For the first 47%, it means they still pay nothing and end up getting more back. For the next 20 or so percent, it means they end up paying next to nothing. For the last 30%, well, they fund the entire federal budget. That means a tax cut isn't really a tax cut for 70% of us. Rather, it's more welfare. So why is a tax cut for people who pay tax vilified as a loophole for the richest among us? Well, first, they are the richest among us. Tax cuts at that level are vilified because the rich pay all the taxes that go into the budget, plus all the taxes that go into everyone else's pocket. So a cut for them really changes the budget. But does it make good economic sense? Sure. We've covered that ground more than once, that investment comes from low taxes and causes growth. But cutting taxes without reducing the size of the government is like buying smaller slacks and not changing your diet. You're going to look silly, and eventually you'll pop a button and put someone's eye out. And we all know it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye. So who will stand up and propose program cuts? Who will suggest we remove entire departments and tens of thousands of workers at the state and national level? Who is going to propose a wholesale cleaning of the decks? Yeah, I don't know either. But if you see one, you let me know. What's the verdict? Lower taxes should spur increased economic output, and targeted tax rates like the capital gains tax should motivate some impressive results. We've seen those impressive results in the late 1920s and the 1980s, among others. And things like tax rebates are lousy ideas and never seem to show any good result. President Bush tried them twice in 8 years, and they flopped both times. Those flops will pale in comparison to President Obama's non-stimulus and massive socialization of the healthcare system. Tell truth to power. Hear the real story. Think for yourself. Join the conversation at econmilitia.com. Take back your inalienable rights.